What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mike, and we're right back in it again. Look, we're going to cover a lot of information today because really this is the first official video, so I have a lot of stuff to cover in order to lay like a base foundation, so we can skip all this after this video, and I don't have to keep saying this stuff over and over and over and over again, even though I probably will anyway, because we're going to expect new subscribers. Anyway. Welcome to Money, Marriage, and Media. Now, the reason why I named the channel that is because this is a channel about relationships. And I think that three major areas are going to help us better understand how we relate to men and women. Again, you know, the title of the channel is that. So we cover these three topics, and today we're going to start with the money portion. Now, let's see. What makes me an expert on money? Well, plain and simple, I'm not. All right. I'm just an average guy. I'm not rich. Okay. So why should you listen to me about financial advice? Well, you shouldn't. And what I mean by that is that you don't just go to YouTube and just find some random guy. Now, do I have experience with money? Yes, I do. And what's that experience based on? Well, it's based on me spending 5 years working in financial services. So literally, I was doing this job as a coach, and my job description was that I sat down with families, literally hundreds of families, and my responsibility was to help them clean up their financial past so that they can get informed on the products and services that are out there for them today so they can better plan out their financial future, right? Now, that sounds like a bunch of it sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but the reality is what I did is that I helped them in four major areas, right? I'm going to teach them how to help them save money on insurance, help them save money on debt, help them save money on investments, and help them save money on budgeting. And if I really like you as a client, I'm going to help you save money on taxes too. But that's just what I did. You know, as a licensed coach, we had to go through a bunch of licensing and certifications and all that. But that's what I used to do, right? So in that time, I picked up a lot of knowledge that the average person just doesn't have. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is that we're going to spend some time on talking about money on this channel, because the reality is that a lot of us are not prepared for the things that we say we want. So if we really want them, then that's obviously we got to be able to seek out the information. But where do you start though? Because if you're not familiar, then you're kind of left with a lot of the advice that I see on YouTube now. Is, we'll just make more money and all your problems go away. Yeah, that's rarely the case. I mean, reality is that, you know, what comes to mind is, you know, Christopher Wallace. The more money you make, the more problems you get. What you got to ask yourself is it worth the trade-off there? Does the problems that come with making more money, are those going to be problems that I want to have? Again, we're going to get to that later, okay? Today is just about an introduction, because I want you guys to get to know me, or about how I fit in or what's my opinion on stuff. So again, we're going to cover those four areas. We're not going to do that today. We're going to get to that later. Right. The second portion is going to be obviously, you know, where we're doing a reaction clip. Believe it or not, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I found a clip of Brittany Renner, of all people, giving dropping some knowledge about relationships. I know it's not the person that you would expect to see, but the reality is that, you know, in this YouTube space, I'm kind of starting to see it like a salad bar, you know, or the buffet. You go in and pick out what you want, leave the rest, right? But it just so happens that I found a clip of her, and she was doing an interview with another YouTuber that I follow. You know, shout out to Anton Daniels. The guy makes some great content. But yeah, they were having a sit down, and it's interesting topics. But the thing about it is that it's not what you would expect. And again, I've said this before, I'm sick of the gender wars. It's just getting old. Like, we constantly, you know, got men on one side saying, well, women are like this and blah, blah, blah. And then Women, on the other hand, are complaining about men. We've got to do better with we need more content out there where men and women are having higher levels of conversation so we can actually learn something from it. So that's why I picked this clip up today. Now, before we get into that, I want to preface this by saying that I'm pro-marriage. I'm actually a married man. My wife and I just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. So we're going to go ahead and, like I said, we're moving fast today. So we're going to go ahead and get into this reaction because we need to push the conversation forward. And you can't do that just by barking up old stuff. So let's go ahead and get this going. And here we are. So let's go ahead and just going.
But do you think that you're the most, like, you're the masculine one in a relationship?
Not because I want to be, but yes, and that's why I'm like, I don't want to be Godzilla in a fucking relationship. I don't want to fucking plan dates and be King Kong. I don't want to do that because at my core, I'm just
holy
that's
crap!
how
This
I
is
am. But people are, they just see me beating my chest and fuck guys.
okay. I don't know what that was, but we're about to start this over.
I feel like
So
they
let's
don't
go
look-
ahead
they
and get
can't
that
look
going.
at That's why I feel like I attract a lot of men.
Do you think that you're the most, like, you're the
There we go.
masculine one in a relationship?
Not because I want to be, but yes, and that's why I'm like, I don't want to be Godzilla in a fucking relationship. I don't want to fucking plan dates and be King Kong. I don't want to do that because at my core, I'm just that's how I am. But people are, they just see me beating my chest and fuck guys and all this bullshit, you know, like.
Okay, so right here, what we have is a woman who is expressing her inner thoughts. And I would commend her on this because she's starting to see that, okay, well, this is who I am. You heard her say it, deep down. A lot of times what I see with women is that they won't admit to what they really want. If that's who you are, like if you really are the masculine one in your relationship and if that's your role, that's what you like being, okay, then accept that. But you need to be honest with who you are first, because you're never going to be happy in something unless you can admit who you really are. Let's keep it going.
I feel like they don't look, they can't look past, but that's why I feel like I attract a lot of men who lead with a wounded, again, it's important, wounded versus ego, a wounded feminine part of them. So you're flighty, because you don't know where we're going, and you're like, this bitch knows where she's going, I'm following her. And at my core, I'm going to start to resent you because I really just want to be feminine. I want to lean more into that. I don't want to have to be a man. But I'm also questioning, what if that's my dynamic, though?
What do you mean? Why you say you're questioning it?
Because I'm also open to the idea of, well, what would be so wrong with me leading with my masculine in a relationship, period? What's wrong with that? If there's a balance. But then that's where I just go back to, at my core, I want a man to know what the fuck he wants. I have no.
Well, you just answered your own question, though.
Okay, so the statement she just made that's a high level thought process, right? Because at the end of the day, relationships are about balance, including marriage, right? You guys, whoever you're in a relationship with, you guys have to balance each other out. Now, again, she was talking about being the masculine one in a relationship. Okay, well, if you're a woman, if that's who you are, right? That's who you want to be. Then you need to accept what comes with that. Otherwise, you're never going to be happy. Now, the other thing she mentioned was deep down in her core, that's not who she is. Okay, well, then again, you have to be honest with yourself because, again, there has to be some balance. The issues come up when you're portraying yourself as being this masculine woman and you're very dominating and you want to be the head of the relationship. Okay, well, when that's you, what kind of guys are you going to attract? You're going to attract men who are okay with you taking the lead. Now, if that's what, again, it's all about balance. Because if that's really who you are, then that's what you're going to get, and that's what you have to work with. See, a lot of times, well, let me put it like this: do I believe there's somebody out there for everyone? No, that doesn't make sense. Math says no on that. Okay, it's just, and in this country there are more women than men, so the answer to that is an obvious no. That can't work. Now, what I do believe is that there is a type for everyone. Now, how you can't figure out what that is until you're actually honest with yourself. The same goes for men too. If you know that you spent the majority of your life and you haven't developed actual leadership skills as a guy, then you may need to find a woman who is more masculine. I mean, that might be the balance that's going to make the relationship sustainable, right? Again, high level conversation. I think we're about to wrap this up. Let's just go a little bit more in case we missed anything.
Yeah. You saying what's wrong with it, and now you saying, well, what's wrong with it is that at my core, that's not really.
But that's why I think I want to keep an open mind. So for argument's sake, I'm like, well, maybe it could still work. But at my core, I'm like, no, I cannot respect men who don't lead.
Yeah. And so we're going to leave it there. Go ahead and check out Anton's channel, because this is one part of the sit down that he had with her. And like I said, it's a high level conversation which we've got to start having more of. And no, there's not going to be they're not yelling at each other, going back and forth. This is a legitimate conversation. And I actually learned something from this. I was surprised because, every other clip you see of Brittany, she's literally saying something and going viral for saying or yelling or arguing with people. And like I said, that gender war stuff gets old after a while. We've got to come together, because otherwise it's just, look, we'll get into that later. But the whole thing here is we're going to wrap this up because, like I said, she just dropped some knowledge. Relationships are about balance. I mean, take the steps, take the time to do the work to figure out who you are and what it is that you want and how you're going to bring balance to something, So we're going to move on to the last portion here. Last section of this is media. Important note about media. Let's go ahead and take this down, right? Swing cat, we don't need that anymore, and we're gonna make this big again. Now, okay. The important thing about media is because it's all about self-image, right? Or how you appear in the eyes of the public. I mean, what I see is that what I see is that there is a problem, particularly in the black community, because both men and women, we have an image problem. So how do we correct this? Well, we've got to start putting out our own content to prove otherwise. A lot of times what you'll find is that the majority is not represented in the eyes of everyday people. What do I mean by that? Well, in the case of men, a lot of times we as black men get a bad rap is either we're, in jail. Well, that's been, most of us are in jail or gay, but those things have been statistically disproven. Only 6% of black men are in jail, locked up. What does that mean? Well, 94% of us are not. Yeah. We're all on the down low. No, the homosexual population only represents a very small percentage of men. You're talking, that's less than 20. You're probably closer to 10%. So again, 90% of us. How are these things able to get perpetuated? Well, because we have an image problem. So this is why channels like this is why I wanted to start the channel again, because we need more average people making content so that we can get our representation of who we are as a people. The vast majority of us that are not represented, we have to start speaking up. So we're going to spend more time going over image, right? Because we have to improve our image. Because again, so many problems stem from us not doing that. Well, is that We don't have any leaders. Who is that? Okay, well, yeah, there are plenty of leaders out there. The problem is that it's not public knowledge. They're there, because you can go around and ask around. These leaders are here. We just need to know that they're not visible a lot of times. So again, this is why we're on YouTube. This is a place where we can go and we can start to improve our image, because people are here. We just have to start showing it. All right. So, a lot of those things, we're going to wrap this up here, because like I said, I'm not going to hold you guys long. And I don't like, long streams. I like to get to the point, because the reality is we need answers. And I think those answers lie in those three major topics. So we're going to end this here. Subscribe to the channel. We got more content coming. Check out Anton Daniels. He's got some great topics, and the guy is he's literally all his videos relate to. He's very pro marriage, which I am too. That's probably why I like his content anyway. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe on your way out. Like the video too, because it's gonna help me. Look, I'm a new channel. In order for me to get pushed in the algorithm, I need you guys' help. I can't do this by myself. So like the video, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.